the landmark work he devoted to Nietzsche, Charles Andler observes that the philosopher has always made an admirable choice when it comes to a dwelling place. Indeed, for many, the setting in which they live is the key to accessing their interior landscape. And this is not so much a question of sensitivity, but the overriding need for spiritual comfort, union between oneself and the world. For some, the intimate setting, the living room, the room where they will create, are of the highest significance. For others, it will be a matter of the sky, the climate, the atmosphere of a city, or the pleasures of the surrounding countryside.
This passage comes from Guy de Bordales's book called Nietzsche in Italy. And I have to say, this passage has resonated very closely with my heart, mainly because I think that whether we are going to be able to create or not is often defined by the surroundings, by the atmosphere that surrounds us. For example, Marcel Proust, the author of The Search of the Lost Time, used to cover his walls with a sound-absorbing cork. He used to draw drapes, put earplugs for complete silence, while Franz Kafka used to say that he needs to work in a silence of a dead man. He used to work in an atmosphere of complete and total silence when everybody was asleep. Usually it was at midnight.
Guy de Bordales's biography shows us how Italian landscapes, architecture, influenced the spiritual landscapes and architecture of Nietzsche's life and his soul. While most of the biographers of Nietzsche try to tell us everything about Nietzsche in their books, from the beginning till the end, in the chronological order, without showing us what was happening in the inner soul, in the mind of Nietzsche. Bordales's biography is perhaps the most unique biography of Nietzsche that I've read so far, and I've read around 10 different biographies of Nietzsche written in different times of the past and present century.
I think another thing that Bordales's book shows us is that how much the atmosphere of the place can shape our thoughts and ideas and philosophy of life. I think just the fact that the book is called Nietzsche in Italy shows us how the landscapes, the mountains of Italy shaped Nietzsche's thoughts, how much the atmosphere that you are surrounded by, that Nietzsche was surrounded by, influenced his way of thinking. Some of you who are already familiar with Nietzsche might know that he lost his sanity in 1889 at the age of 40, I think, in the Italian city of Turin. When you read Bordales's book, you can feel that from the very first pages, this decline that Nietzsche's mind was headed towards, and how the slow decline that followed Nietzsche throughout his entire life shaped his philosophy in accompaniment with the Italian landscapes, with the beautiful architecture of Genoa, with the beautiful places in Venice and the capital of melancholy and music. I think this is what makes Bordales's biography unique. It's beautiful and exquisite atmosphere that surrounds it, that many biographers of Nietzsche and other great personalities fail to convey. I know that this might sound strange, but this biography feels and reads very musical. Maybe the reason is because Guy de Bordales was in fact a music critic. He used to write articles about different composers and different musical pieces of his time. And maybe this is the reason why this biography feels so musical. It is as if you are reading sheet music where every note is in the right place at the right time to create a harmony. Each passage and each sentence within a passage feels to have a musical rhythm to it. I know that this might sound strange, but It is this musical quality that makes this biography so enjoyable and readable. And of course, since Nietzsche was influenced so much by music, by Wagner, by Bizet, by other composers such as Chopin, it is impossible to write a biography of Nietzsche without adding that musical component. And I think this is what Guy de Portalis excels in the most. This book was published in 1920s, but it was translated into English only 100 years later. It was translated by Will Stone, who is a poet, and I think only a poet could have captured the subtleties, the musicality of the language, to be able to translate this book from French without losing any detail in it. So I'm very grateful that it was Will Stone and no one else who was first to translate this book. Look at this work behind me. It is just so well done and unique. Absolutely gorgeous. Those of you who follow my channel for a while know that I really like the word peripatetic, which means to walk. Aristotle, for example, was a peripatetic philosopher, which meant to walk and think. And I think since Guy de Portalis' book tells us how Nietzsche walked around the different landscapes, different cities of Italy, and how they influenced him, I thought it would be quite good to record this video on the go, and I hope that you enjoyed this kind of walking book review. I'd like to say that I'm going to share all of my notes from this book in my newsletter, which you can subscribe by following the link down in the description. Recently, I sent a newsletter where I shared my notes from Sarah Bakewell's book called Humanly Possible. It was kind of a review and my notes with all the important things and takeaways from that book. So if you are interested, click the link down in the description. Thank you for being very patient about my non-regular uploads. As I said, I have a new member of the family who needs to be taken care of, and sometimes it's very difficult to find headspace to record videos, but I'm doing my best, promise. I'll see you in the next one. Bye everybody.